I have really grabbed onto this idea of now it's my turn and I'm going to do me. And I'm not going to bend myself to fit into a role that I don't need to anymore.
I am all of these people and I'm living in the present. How can I fill my cup? Wherefore I'm able to fill others more sustainably. Welcome to a conversation between two friends.
This is Alice.
And I'm David.
And this is Truthfully Yours.
We are by no means experts or teachers, just speaking honestly within the bounds of friendship. If you found your way here, maybe there's something in that honesty meant for you too.
We invite you to lean in, and perhaps you'll recognize your own journey in ours.
What if you gave yourself permission to go all in on experiencing sustainable joy to the fullest? That's the question at the heart of joy maxing, the practice of pursuing experiences that fill your soul and allows you to serve others from a place of overflow. In this episode, Alice shares how she is learning to center herself and how a Zumba class led to empanadas, mahjong, and a new community. And why she's harvesting joy for the hard seasons to come. This is Truthfully Yours.
What is joy maxing?
I'll just tell you my definition of joy maxing. Joy maxing is pursuing experiences and things that bring you joy, like just go all in on it. So for some people, it could be like, I'm going to do fitness maxing. And they design a fitness plan that they're going to be consistent to, but they're all in. And that could include nutrition, your workout, your recovery, and they know the macros of what their meals are going to look like and the supplements that they're going to take.
Yeah.
I have even heard of people doing this where they put a time limit on it. So it's like, I'm going to see how much muscle mass I can grow in a month. So they're so determined they're going to just go all out.
Yeah.
For me, joy maxing looks like pursuing things that are going to fill my soul up so that I'm operating out of a place of overflow when I interact with people. So I can love people from a place of overflow. So I can give to people out of a place of overflow instead of giving to people when I'm already depleted. Because at that point, it's not even really giving to people. It's doing something, but it's definitely not productive or fruitful. It's actually a form of, I feel like, self-abandoning to make other people happy. So joy maxing to me currently is pursuing all the things that I've wanted to do that I have never done. And then because I've said yes to this and taken steps to move towards it, what I have discovered that it has opened up other opportunities of experiences that I wasn't even aware of, that I wanted or that I needed. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. It's actually quite addicting. A good example of this would be, I started doing Pilates, aerial, yoga, all these different activities. And the benefit of doing these activities is, yes, they are very physical and I love the challenge and I love progressing and all of this.
Yeah.
However, it's the people that I'm meeting through these classes that I did not expect to be just a wonderful, unexpected blessing in my life. People that I would normally never encounter in the real world. These are people that if I were to look at first glance, I'd probably say, oh, those are not the type of people I would normally gravitate towards. But they're amazing people. They're so awesome. The other day, I went to a vinyasa yoga class for the first time at my gym. The class was lovely. I learned the difference between different styles of yoga. And vinyasa is more of a flow yoga. You have this routine and you do it over and over again, which is what we did, which I liked. And then right after this class was a Zumba class with an instructor that I first started doing Zumba with, but I don't go to this instructor anymore because other instructors work better with my schedule. But I stayed for this one. And she is this Filipino-American lady who's about my age. And I always thought she was so cool. She dresses really cool. I like her vibe. She does a mix of dancing. And the kind of dancing she does, some of the songs that she chooses are styles of music I don't personally like because I don't feel like I'm coordinated to dance, all of the Latin type of dances. But my friend who I do these classes with, she's also Filipino. But one thing that was very odd when I looked around, 75% of the class were Filipino ladies, my age or older. And that's the first thing I noticed. And they were all talking to each other in their native tongue with the instructor during class, during the actual songs even. So I felt like this was like a family affair and the energy was so amazing. And then afterwards, one of the aunties, the Filipino aunties, she brought out this box of homemade Filipino meat-filled empanadas. We all gorged on them. And then this instructor asked me if I played mahjong, which I always wanted to learn, but you need other people who know how to play mahjong, right?
Yeah.
Because do you know that mahjong's like the new bridge? This is what all these women play everywhere. She asked me if I played mahjong, and I said no, but I always wanted to learn. She goes, okay, you're going to join our mahjong group. And I was like, cool. But it's like just putting yourself out there opens up more opportunities for more, wonderful experiences. I'm discovering that this is a common occurrence in my life right now. And what's really funny about this particular class that I went to that night, I could be shy around this teacher that I haven't seen in over a year, probably over 2 years. I haven't taken her class in over 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I could be shy in front of all these other students in the class that I've never danced with except for my friend. Except I decided I'm just going to do it how I always do the other dance classes. I'm just going to go full out and have fun. And I was sweating and I was engaged in the class and interacting with other people and the instructor during class. And my friend Liz said, oh, she really likes your vibe. She really likes your vibe a lot. And then I got invited to her mahjong group. And then she asked me what other classes I was taking. And I told her I just did yoga before this. And she said, okay, you're going to come to hot yoga with me. I was like, what? So now I'm making friends with instructors. She's not the only instructor I'm making friends with that I plan on doing activities with. Several of my Pilates instructors I'm going to be hanging out with doing other things. But this is only because I put myself out there, wanted to get to know these people, showed a genuine interest in the things that they're interested in and the things that they're doing. And then all of a sudden, I'm discovering I'm getting to check off things off my bucket list of things I wanted to do. So for me, that's joy maxing. And that's not taking a passive stance. That's actually being very intentional. And I'm not even being deliberate in terms of trying to check things off on my bucket list. They're literally just coming to me. It's just happening.
Yeah, these people that you're meeting that have similar interests or have been on similar journeys and maybe some further down the road from you can also add to your bucket list. Being like, well, have you tried this? Like I'm looking for something similar. I want to come back and ask you something kind of more of a groundwork question here is because you mentioned joy maxing and kind of the way you described it to me felt like going all in on something that you love. And yet the tether, the anchor to it, if you will, seemed to be in how you are of service to others. Because you made a comment of like, I used to serve my community, if you will, by decentering myself, putting others first. And now I've reached a certain age, I've reached a certain point in my life where I've learned that's not sustainable. And I can't authentically love on other people if I continue to ignore myself. And so then you mentioned, throwing yourself into certain passions, learning yoga, meeting new people, building community. All of that fills your cup to which you're then able to love on people more authentically, like at a deeper level, even more people, like strangers you meet in Uber or wherever. You're more able to show up more steadily, more consistently with a fuller cup. So to me, it's almost like everything for you is about how you show up in the world to the people around you. But something very subtle, but very deep and very pivotal that you're shifting is almost more than shifting, spinning on its head, is putting myself first and then watching all of these dominoes fall down the line into the exact life that I've always wanted, that I've been struggling so hard to find and achieve and to live faithfully and truthfully, but doing it with sort of this effortless energy. Because once you pour into yourself, once you pursue your own joys, which are unique to you, right? Inviting your 8-year-old self back into your life, your future self into your life and saying, what does this girl love? I am all of these people and I'm living in the present. How can I fill my cup? Wherefore I'm able to fill others more sustainably. And I just found that interesting because when you described joy maxing, you made it seem like, yeah, all in on fitness or all in on, yoga or dance, joy maxing on pickleball, joy maxing on BTS, joy, all of these things. But underneath that current that's really you is, how do I show up in this world as a servant of others in a sustainable way that doesn't drown myself in the river?
Right. This is very interesting. I'm glad you brought this up because I've been thinking about this a lot. A lot of women who are in the same stage of life as I am in right now, where they are entering a season of becoming an empty nester.
Woo woo.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Contract fulfilled. Now it's time for you.
Contract fulfill. Well, that's exactly what it is. So what it is like, so if you have been one of those types of women who have centered their kids their whole entire life, which I have, and making sure that not only the groundwork for their foundation is laid, but to set them up in a way that when they leave the house, that they're leaving as secure young adults to go into the world and make their impact, but without my hand in their business, right? You just want them to make good decisions, be good human beings in the world. And hopefully you did a good job where they're going to thrive. And right now, I've already started the empty nest phase because my son is actually taking summer college courses in a foreign country. And I will say, I knew this going into his high school graduation, that I needed to start adding more things into my life so that it wasn't going to be like this abrupt, like, oh, like, what am I supposed to do now? And so what's very interesting to me is knowing that there's like this hourglass time clock, right? The sand's coming through, like my time with him is coming to an end. And I knew I didn't have to worry about him, and I definitely don't have to worry about my daughters. I'm like, oh, now I can focus on me and the things that I'm interested in. And I think what a lot of women struggle with is what's next? They feel a little selfish. Let's assume I live to 100. I've spent half of my life centering other people and their needs for as long as I can remember, because I grew up in a very large family with 5 siblings, an immigrant family at that. And I definitely had a role. I had a role in my family that was basically always caretaking for my siblings, caretaking for my parents. I'm still taking care of my mom. I was taking care of both my mom and my dad when my dad was around, making sure that they were always okay. And so I have really grabbed onto this idea of now it's my turn and I'm going to do me. And I'm not going to bend myself to fit into a role that I don't need to anymore. I don't need to be the PTA mom.
Yeah.
I don't need to be the sports coach for my kids' sports team.
Yeah.
I can just be me. And that's probably the best thing in the world that I am living through at this moment, because I look at the second half of my life right now with such enthusiasm, and I'm looking at it from a very honest space. Like, what do you want to do? There hasn't been one time where I've told myself, you can't do it. Whatever it is that I want to do, I'm just going to go do it.
Yeah.
And I am doing it.
I love that.
And, we're talking about joy maxing. I was always so concerned about making sure other people were okay and trying to give them joy and give them happiness. And I really never thought about myself. And it almost feels selfish to center myself. But if I don't center myself, who am I supposed to center?
You should be the goddamn leading lady in your own life.
Yes. We've seen the memes, and I mean, people say this, like, motivational coaches say this, but when you're living it, sometimes you just feel like you can't live like that person, because my job, I've always done my job since the moment my kids were born, was to, take care of them and help them in their journey. And now I'm just like so excited.
If joy maxing worked perfectly, would you still want sadness, grief, frustration, and boredom to exist?
Oh, yes. Yes, of course. To be human is to feel alive and to feel the full spectrum of emotions, right? A lot of times people move through life not wanting to sit with discomfort. If we can live with happiness all the time, yes, who would not choose to be happy all the time? But that's not how life works. The reality is, at any given moment in your life, something could go awry and totally change not only the trajectory of your day, the trajectory of your life, and can just knock you off center so hard that it takes a long time to get up. But with that said, currently, the thing that I treasure the most in my life right now is peace. And so I am very protective of my peace. And what that looks like to me is it's not avoiding discomfort. It's actually the opposite. It's accepting the things that I do not have control over and really focusing on the things that I do have control over. And the things I do have control over, The only thing I have control over is myself. So in the last several months, I've been really focused on pursuing things that bring me a lot of joy because I think there's a difference between joy and happiness. But I think joy is sustainable. When I have gone through periods of time where I'm just running on fumes, where neither joy or happiness is to be found, it's a very dark place to be, and it's hard to get out of that. The reality of life is we are going to experience the full spectrum of things that will make us cry tears of joy, tears of grief. I mean, I've had my fair share of trauma and heartache and things I've had to overcome, things I'm still learning how to overcome. But I think what's different right now is that I'm choosing to make a better decision for myself to not allow some of those hard things to prevent me from pursuing the things that do bring me peace. Now, with that said, there is a caveat to all this. I am also a big believer, you and I have discussed this before, about seasons of life, and I recognize I'm like in a harvesting season. It's like, picking a nice summer peach off a tree and enjoying it, in that moment. That's where I am. And I'm not gonna apologize to myself for feeling that because I know what it feels like to be in the dead of winter and look at that same tree and there's no signs of life on it. And I know what that feels like. And that's why I want to savor the perfect strawberry that you just picked off the little vine that's just so sweet, or the tomato that's been ripened by the sun that you grew in your garden. Because I need to be able to remember how I'm feeling in this moment, David. So when winter comes around again, and it will, that I can look back at this moment in my life and say, oh gosh, Alice, there's a season coming where you're going to be able to enjoy life like that summer peach. It's coming. I know you feel really bad right now, but that day is coming. And you know what that feels like. So just hold on. It's coming.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, subscribe to Truthfully Yours wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes weekly on Thursdays. We'd love for you to share this with someone who might need to hear it. For more about the show and Alice and David, visit truthfullyyours.com.